started. I see that the first people are coming on. So, Dennis, thank you so much for being here. Um, I named this live something like 190,000 followers later, finding your flow state. So you're very big on LinkedIn, now coming on Substack. Can you just start by sharing a little bit of who you are and what brought you to Substack?
Yeah, great question. And well, first of all, Substack is such a great concept. I'm still getting used to using the platform because it's not very intuitive right away. And it might be more intuitive used to other platforms. So I got really used to LinkedIn for the last like 6 or 7 years because so it was like everything. I could pull up my phone and use it with my eyes closed and get around. So switching to a new platform always has its challenges. But um my story, when I was a ski racer when I was young, and then I was kind of a crazy guy, and I had a lot of fun. I was a chef, kind of a party guy, but I took it a little too far. So, of course, I'm giving you the 30-second version of a 50-year story. I'm
Yeah.
52 now, but I took it a little too far, and so I was not healthy and almost dying. Almost died many times with drugs and
Oh,
alcohol. And so I've been sober for 22 years. It's been since I was 31 years old. And along the way, I um, started different businesses early on. I got into personal training and health because that's great for sobriety early on. And I had a candle making company. I had a catering company.
wow.
I wasn't doing really well because I didn't really know how to run a business. And then I started selling rare coins to supplement my business, and that one took off. And that's really important for where we are today, is because sometimes, when you see really successful people, you just see like, the polished picture and how perfect everything is, but
Mm.
it's not easy. And there's a lot of highs and lows that go with getting to that point. And I've been through every one of them. And
Wow.
so I
Yeah.
learned a lot along the way. And then I did a lot of addiction recovery. I did a lot of helping other people get sober and change their lives, then and then I got into business and LinkedIn, and I was training people how to build businesses online, and that's kind of where we are today. 5 years ago, I realized LinkedIn is like way more than just a job posting recruiting website, and so I sunk myself into it, and that's why I've built almost 200,000 followers now and 6 or 7 different streams of income and business that comes from LinkedIn. And then I was like, a lot of people, I write a newsletter and I was using Kit, another platform, but I saw how cool Substack is and the potential of reaching a lot of people and sharing and helping along the way. And that's how we are.
Yeah, that's so cool. I love actually, and I think that's why you will do super well on Substack too, how authentic and open you are about your journey. And that's, and the other day we talked about, like building your brand. And yeah, and I think being authentic is just, kind of like one of the main cornerstones on it. And I know that Substack people like appreciate that so much, but that's not what you write about, right? Or did you start writing about that at some point?
Writing about which?
About like your journey of becoming sober and sobriety and all of that.
Yeah, yeah, no, actually it is. And it's funny. I've gotten it through different paths, and that's again online business. You start, and then where you end up is a lot different than where you start. Always, especially now. The pace of change for thousands of years was really slow, and now it changes every week. So, wherever you are in your journey, like buckle up and follow what's going on. Be ready and willing to make changes as you walk the path. And when I started posting stuff, there was a lot about sobriety, inspirational, motivational. That's a great way to build an audience, but it's kind of a vague audience. It's not very targeted, and it's hard to monetize. So I realized that you have to be a little more targeted and focused in your approach. And I did that for a while, and then I switched to more business focused topics because I have a business building businesses. So that's why I moved to that. So then I was able to build a successful business around that. But I still like to revert to my personal journey because I think it inspires people. Who I am, who you're seeing talking right now is not who I used to be. For
Mhm.
reference, I don't know who's listening if it were in kilos or pounds, but I was like 230 pounds or so,
Mm.
23 years ago, which is about 100 kilos, I think, 105,
Mhm.
something like that. And now I'm like, 175, 180 pounds. Depends if I'm eating chocolate or not. Do I want to have a Six pack or do I want to eat chocolate? So you can't have both.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, but what I found is this, what we're doing on social media as creators, and I assume people watching your show here are creators because you're like the best creator, is, we're there's 6 billion people that use social media every month, and
Mm.
98% of them are consumers. They're just consuming content all day, and you wanna become what they're looking at. But what we're talking about is building a personal brand. And that word gets thrown around so much. And I try not to even use it because some people are like, they
Mhm.
hear it so much. But
Mm.
it's really true, especially today with everything is AI, automated, digital, this and that. And 20 years ago, if you had a website or some sort of technology, that's what set you apart as a business. And now what sets you apart is having a human connection.
Yeah.
So we've come full circle, and you wanna build the with everything being so AI, automated, digital, everything, if you could find a way to connect with people on a personal level and build that trust and relationship up front, you're gonna be way more successful than all these AI digital, companies, and there's millions of them. You really
Yeah.
have to find a niche and then set yourself apart with your personal brand. So, to answer your question 3 minutes later, is that yes, I talk about that because that's part of a personal brand. You want to connect with people on a personal level, and then they'll trust you to provide those services, whatever they are. You could be a writer, a, a coach, a consultant, a speaker, but people want to do business with people. And so when
Yeah.
they know, like, and trust you and relate to you, and you're not just putting up memes that everybody else is putting up and talking about the same regurgitated stuff, then you're gonna build a brand that people love to do business with.
Yeah. Yeah. No, 100%, I agree. By the way, for people listening to us, if you do you hear me also double when I talk, or is it just me?
Just you.
Okay, good. Then only I get confused. But for people listening to us, please feel free to ask any questions in the chat. I love to keep those live sessions very interactive. If you have any questions, I mean, like we're here to talk about Substack, about writing, about LinkedIn, about productivity, flow state, anything that also you want to share. It's a nice way to connect with people. Yeah, just write it in the chat. And what I wanted to say before is, I mean, I've been I think fairly new to this whole journey. I mean, I started my online solopreneur journey last year, and it's exactly how you said it. I was also so intimidated, and I just didn't know what it means to build your brand. Yeah, what does that mean? And then people started talking about, yeah, it's about finding your voice. Yeah, but what does that mean? So I was really confused when I got that, like recommendation all the time in the beginning.
Yeah, it's a process too, and well, here's the so 10 years ago, I've been doing it a lot longer, and but I didn't make any money or anything for years, and the reason is because of this. Well, I didn't make money as a creator. I made money as a consultant, as a coach, and doing high ticket services, and I did okay. And 10 years ago, on social media, not just LinkedIn, stuff, everywhere. Like if you're trying to monetize a platform, a digital presence, um, there are systems that you need to have set up. And I'm still learning Substack. In fact, like I was texting you, like, oh my God, how do I do this? But 10 years ago or so, you could just say, I'm a coach, I'm a consultant, I'm a speaker, I'm a best selling author. There's a billion best selling authors now. Everybody is. So you can't say I'm an author. You have to say I'm a best selling author. But 10 years ago, there was 3 billion less people on the internet. So we were successful because 10 years ago, everybody knew Tony Robbins was the only coach, as like the
Mm.
big coach. He's like he started all this coaching
Yeah.
stuff. And so coaches started popping up. And so people would hire me. I was an addiction recovery coach. I did a lot of that codependency, working with teens. I did a lot of work around all that stuff, a mental health coach. And, but now, no competition. So now there's 3 billion extra people. So we're all a dime a dozen,
Mm.
literally a dime a dozen. There's millions of coaches, consultants, and speakers. And so you can't just say, I'm a coach or I do this and then put up a nice post and then make $1 million. And I think people have that expectation, which is dangerous, especially if you don't have resources. Like if you don't quit your job yet, if you're trying to become a creator, you have to finance your dreams. You have to work
Yeah.
until you don't have to work. And um, people forget that process. But LinkedIn is a great platform because there's professional people that have resources to pay for high ticket items and
Mm.
stuff like that. But you can't monetize a newsletter on LinkedIn. You can direct people here, which is what I'm starting to do, is direct people here to Substack because the business model here is amazing. It's such a great
Yeah.
platform.
Yeah, maybe that's a good connection because we have a question from Aisha and she says, wait, so maybe it's better when I do that. She says, how to monetize Substack if I don't want to go with paid subscribers, then what other ways can I go with?
You want me to answer? Or you?
I mean, if you want, you can start and I can jump in because, like, I mean, yeah, you can start.
Yeah, I mean, there's different ways to monetize everything. You have to find a system that works, but like you have to think with the type of newsletter that you're writing. I have two that I'm starting. I have a big newsletter already on LinkedIn with 100,000 subscribers, but there's two that I'm using Substack for, which is the Elite Leaders newsletter and then the Investors newsletter, because we also do financial investment education. That one I could probably monetize because that's the type of information that people are going to tune in and pay for. The Elite Leaders Network, Elite Leaders newsletter, I have an advisory board and a group of elite leaders where we meet and we do consulting with each other and we help each other grow. And it's a group of high level professionals, and that it's expensive. So those types of people, my demographic is leaders that a lot of the information I share, although it's personal and it's valuable, I don't think it's I don't think it's going to be good for monetization. Now, I
Mm.
can't say it's not going to. I don't know where it's going to take me. I'm just going to build it. I want to support people and provide as much information as possible. But a lot of this coaching, inspirational, focus, productivity stuff it's commoditized information now with AI. You could just say, how can I focus better? And AI gives you an answer. So I mean, you have to see what type of newsletter you provide. Are you providing information that you can't be found anyplace else? You could probably monetize that and make 10 or $20 a month or something.
Yeah.
But if you're not well known and you're providing information that you can find anywhere else, it's hard to do that. So you
Yeah.
create digital products and coaching to monetize it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I agree. And I think it also depends, if you're, I mean, that's like really more into educational content or, if you're into teaching. But then if you're doing creative writing or creative work on something, it's again a little bit different. Um, but if you're more into the educational part, I think what is becoming now more and more a thing is if you can offer some kind of being part of the community, being part of the cohort, I think those are things that I will grow more and more. And that's also what you can monetize.
Yeah, and you're doing a great job of that. In fact, that's inspiring. I
Mhm.
follow you. You
Yeah,
like for those listening, like yeah, Claudia is a smart girl. And
thank you.
yeah, really, it's impressive. But the community is a great idea. And I have a community, and and for LinkedIn, I have one for Instagram, one for Twitter or X, whatever it's called. And I don't participate much in the other ones, but we have communities. I had a high level paid LinkedIn community for a while, but again, there's so many of them now. It kind of went away. So that's what I'm saying about like being prepared for your digital online business journey, because it's not a set it and forget it. It's not, like it's such a great time to be alive. You know, if we go back 20, 30, 50, 100 years ago and you wanted to open a business, you had a storefront, right? And that
Mm.
storefront, you had to pay for a store. You had to pay rent, and maybe if you're in a busy area, you can have 50,000 people come into your store, depending on the products you sold. Now, not much more than that, because if you were in a big city with more people, and then you have more competition, right? So you only had a limited amount of reach and visibility available, and there was expensive marketing things, mailers, like all this stuff. Now you can literally reach 6 billion people on social media. The opportunity is incredible. It really is. But
Yeah.
there's now, like we were just talking about, so much competition that you need to find a unique value proposition, or it's hard to be unique. You need to have a competitive value proposition, and you need to dive into it, and you need to set systems up. Now, what does that mean? There's a funnel. Everybody hopefully knows what a sales funnel is. If you don't, just Google sales funnel and you'll see what a sales funnel is. And you get people in the top of your funnel. And then you have to caress them down the funnel. Now, when they get in the top of the funnel, we do that with content writing. I do it with LinkedIn, Substack, newsletters, notes, Twitter, Instagram, whatever you're doing, you're getting people in the top of your funnel. And then, depending on what you sell, like Claudia has a newsletter. So, or she has her system here that's like, uh, I'm sorry, it might be $20 a month or something like that. So, that's something that you could sell with a post. If you write a really compelling post, you can get, one or five or 10 people to join on your community or whatever it is, or buy that's a small ticket item. I'm a popular guy on LinkedIn. If I had a $10 book, I could probably write a post and sell $20. But
Mm.
my stuff costs thousands of dollars. So there's a longer sales cycle between writing a post and making thousands of dollars. So that's where the newsletter comes in. You continue in the relationship. Then maybe there's lead magnets and digital products. And then eventually maybe a course or a group coaching or something. And out the bottom comes your high ticket clients. So if you don't understand these processes and set them up simple, they need to be simple and functional. And simple is hard.
Mhm. Yeah.
It's hard to work right all the time. Everything breaks, things change, people lose it. So you have to always keep moving, and it's hard to do now.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, uh, especially, I mean, for on Substack, I think like people still write like very generic notes of posts. And I think, the more specific you can be, the more people will, get to know you. You can build trust and a relationship with them. And I think at least in those times now, I don't know how it was, like 10 or 20 years ago, but now I feel like that's more important than ever. So just back to your point, Isha, if you don't want to monetize it through paid subscription, really focus on, creating a relationship with your audience first, building that audience. And then once you have that, it's actually not so hard to, sell them other things than a paid subscription to. Once they believe that in you and that you have valuable things to offer, you're gonna find ways to monetize that.
Well said. And so here's what all of business comes down to. Any business, you have to solve a problem. You can't sell a product or a service if it doesn't solve a problem. And when you're starting out and you don't have any audience and you're trying to figure out what to do and you're just writing this stuff, which is cool. I mean, start. That's how you learn is by doing. You can read all the books and watch YouTube videos, but you have to just start writing and figure out how all this stuff works. But what you want to do is start building an audience, and then your audience will tell you what their problem is, and then create a product or a service or an offering or a group or whatever around that. I see a lot of people, usually they come to me after they've wasted tons of time and thousands of dollars
Mm.
that they'll spend months or even years creating products or services that there's no need for, or build a $20,000 website, and then they go to launch and they're so excited because their colors look nice and the logo, everything's perfect, and they go to launch and it's crickets because nobody's listening. There's no audience, and you didn't solve a problem. So you have this nice website that you probably paid for on credit card, and now you have credit card debt and no sales. So what you said is important. It's like, you know, build build an audience, listen to what they're telling you. And how do you listen? You can ask them. Nowadays there's like polls. You can have you could poll your audience and ask them, be like, hey, I'm thinking of doing this. Which would make you more excited? A, B, or C? And then they'll tell you. And then uh, or you look in the comments. So what you said is great. You were like, make targeted notes based on what you sell, not like, oh, have it on Twitter. They do this, like, oh, I went to the store today and I saw somebody who did this, and now I'm angry. You know,
Yeah.
that's not gonna make any sales. So you want to
Mm.
be specific. Be like, what do I sell, or what's my expertise, and then you want to create content around that gets people interested in what you do, and then they'll follow you. Now you're building an audience, and then listen to what they need, and then create your product or service.
Yeah, 100%. Maybe you were right. Maybe we would have needed more time because we have 5 minutes left and we didn't even start talking about flow state. But but maybe you.
Yeah, actually, you know what? I think the guy canceled my next meetings. We can keep going a little bit.
Okay. Okay. Cool. Yeah. Then we have a little bit more time because I mean, I guys, I'm so sorry about my audio. Like I think it's horrible today. I don't know why. But
You,
still, as
so you
sorry.
know, just so you feel better, we don't hear it on this side. You sound
Oh,
fine.
really?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, Caroline said she does hear a lot of clicking when I talk, but yeah. Okay. Good. Um, yeah, I mean, again, like anybody just ask questions about, like writing Substack, LinkedIn, anything. But one last thing I wanted to talk about actually is because you said you like talking about flow state, productivity. Like, tell us more about that. Is that something, how did you get into that? Because it is, not everybody thinks about flow state.
Right. So flow state is this. Uh, I'm going to give you a high level overview.
Mhm.
Flow state is this magical place that we've all experienced at some point in our life somewhere, where you're working on something or playing or doing some type of activity, and time just seems to disappear, and you're not thinking about money problems or your relationship or if I'm 5 pounds overweight or who's the president or all this stuff. You're just focused on what you're doing and nothing else. And it's so important to be in that state of mind at least sometimes. Now, I have a team I manage. I have like 6 businesses. Like I have a lot going on. So it's really hard to get into that state
Mm.
now at this level. But so I have to be real intentional about it. But in order to get there, it starts with focus, deep work. And now, if you've not read the book Deep Work by Cal Newport, I highly recommend doing that. So,
Mm.
what it talks about is, especially nowadays, for the last 10 years or so, since Instagram, short form video, everything that we look at is designed to hijack our attention. And they know, like when you see the little red dots on social media, Facebook started that like 15 whatever years ago with Messenger. And we see that little red dot and it goes, somebody loves me. That's a message. So we go
Yeah.
tune into that little red dot. And now what that little red dot is dopamine. So it
Mm.
trips off the little dopamine sensors in our brain, and it's like, somebody loves me. And so all day long, we're like rats in an experiment looking for more dopamine. We're physically addicted to the phone, to our devices, to social media, and short form video, like 10x's all of that. So whenever you're either making short form video designed to do this, to hijack people's attention, you have a strong hook, maybe some music, something that pulls them in, and now you're stuck there for 30 seconds or a minute. And then right when that's done, there's another one. So you might get on Instagram Reels, YouTube Shorts, or TikTok, and you're like, I want to find a solution to this problem. And 3 hours later, you're looking at giraffes playing with kittens. And you're like,
Yeah.
what's happening?
Mm.
So we need to get laser focused. And all of my coaching, whether it's business or addiction or relationships or whatever it is focused on focus. And so we have to turn off all notifications and go deep. So deep work. Are you doing good? Am I talking too much?
No, it's good.
All right.
Yeah.
So deep work is this, is like, we need to go deep. So when we sit down, so I've been working on Substack. I'm going to just tell you my journey for the last 2 months.
Mhm.
Is that I am so used to doing LinkedIn. I train people on it. I charge people thousands of dollars to build LinkedIn profiles, like to hundreds of thousands of followers, and set up your funnels and systems and workflows. And I could do that all day. I'm so used to doing it. But it took me years to learn how to do that. And I forgot that. So now I'm gonna learn Substack on a deep level. In order to do that, I need to go deep. And so I'm sharing my experience, and hopefully those who are listening can relate to this. Whenever you start something new, you have to become a beginner, and it's hard. So let me go back a little bit. When we're born, we come out of mom's tummy. We're inside mom's belly, and it's all warm, and we have food, and we don't have to worry about anything, and we're just existing, right? And then we pop out, and then all of a sudden there's like these big heads there, and the doctor smacks you on your butt, and you start crying, and now we're in this big scary world. And then we start crawling around, and then we bang our head into the wall, and we learn how to not crawl into the wall because that hurts, and we start crying. And then we start walking, and then we fall down, and we hurt ourselves, and we start crying. And then as life goes on, we have to learn how to talk and speak properly, and we have to learn how to write, and we have to go to school and follow rules. And then eventually we get to this place in adulthood where we just kind of settle into life
Mm.
and stop growing, and we stop learning because it's painful to grow and learn. And so now I'm learning Substack again. I'm 53 years old, and I'm like, oh my God, this is hard to learn. It's not just using. If you want to like really take advantage of Substack or any platform, you need to go deep into it. And
Yeah.
how does this really work? And so I have to turn off all notifications. I work from home. I have meetings in the morning, and then I'll go sit at Starbucks, and
Mhm.
I put on my hat because I live in Playa del Carmen, Mexico, on the beach, and it's hot. So they have the air conditioner on, and I put my hat, my North Face jacket on, and I just go deep.
Really?
I go deep into substance. I'm studying it, and I'm trying to be like, what? How do I do this? How do I do that?
Mhm.
Now, if you're doing deep work like that, and the phone rings, and we go like this, and we look at the phone, the notification goes off. We just
Mhm.
lost our attention. And
Mhm.
on average, it takes about 23 minutes to get back into your deep work. So for
Crazy.
takes a half an hour or so, depending on if you're looking at Instagram Reels and TikTok, how long does it take you to get focused?
Mm.
For most people, it takes an hour, at least an hour, because we're watching TikTok. So
Yeah.
in order for you to reach high levels of success, and if you want to outdo 90% of the people in the world right now, stop watching short form video.
Mm.
Turn off all your notifications, never start work without a list, and never start work without prioritizing your list. And don't
Yeah.
write 30 things down, write 3 things down when you wake up in the morning that are going to impact your life. And then don't go to bed till those 3 things are done. If you do that, at the end of the week, you're going to have 21 things done. as opposed to all the other people with 30 things on their to-do list. They get overwhelmed and don't know what to do, so they look at TikTok videos.
Yeah.
That's what the world is right now. So get
Yeah.
focused, turn off your notifications, and do
Yeah.
your 3 things, and you're gonna be successful.
Yeah. Do you know this, like there's this test, or I don't know, like where you can kind of figure out what is like your best productivity style, like what works really well for you?
I know that there are. I'm not sure specifically which one.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess there are many, but it just helps you to understand like how you work best. And now that you said that, I know that I've done it before. I've done this test. What works really well for me is time blocking. So I really put down on my calendar like 3 hours. I'm just working on this. And then my sister, she's completely different. She's something that uses a method that's called Eat Your Frog, which is kind of like the one big task that you have for the day that you're kind of dreading, so you don't want to do it, but you have to do it right in the morning, the first thing, and then all the other things come so much easier to you. And I think if you know your productivity style and what is important for you, you'll also, I mean, that's a theory, but then I guess you get easier into the flow state.
Yeah, you can. I mean, like, flow state comes down to this, like, you have to love what you're doing, or at least like it. Sometimes we have to work. As part of being an adult, we have to finance our lives, whatever it is you wanna do. Hopefully, you like doing that thing that you have to do. Most people don't, sadly, because we live in this world that's designed to keep us safe, so we're conditioned by our parents or teachers or whoever to go through this system and find a job so we could pay for life. We have to eat and buy clothes and have a house and stuff like that. So people take jobs that they don't love doing, and they'll stay in it for 30 years and then make lateral moves. Oh, I don't like this job, but I'm going to get another job doing the exact same thing for a little
Yeah.
bit of money, even though I don't love it. So hopefully, when I always start work with people, we start with your vision
Mm.
and you write a vision plan. And the reason this is important is because people write business plans. If you're on here and you're an entrepreneur, solopreneur, hopefully you wrote a business plan. It will help you. Things rarely go according to the business plan, but it gives you a little road on how to start and moving in that direction. If you're like, I don't know what to do, look at your business plan. Be like, what is it? What's the business plan say I should do? And start doing it. And people do that, but they don't write vision plans. Like, what's your business plan for your life? What's your mission statement? What are your values? What's your vision? How much money do you want to make? What do you want your partner to look like? Do you want a partner? Do you want kids? Do you want a house? Do you want 5 houses? What do you want to
Yeah.
drive? Write all that down, and then we reverse engineer the goals in order to make that happen. So success is very systematic. It's not just, it doesn't just happen accidentally. For some people, we see on Instagram all these like, we'll see a 16-year-old kid sell an app for $1 billion, but it's either a lie
Mm.
or they're huge outliers. You can't plan on that. It's not going to happen. So you have to be systematic. When you set your vision up and you're working on something that you love to do, flow state comes more easily because you're
Mm.
so think about this. The people that are very apt or fall into flow state easiest, artists, musicians, dancers. When you're doing that activity, you're not thinking about other things that pull your attention away and you just flow. That's where the word comes from, flow state. And it was popularized 50 years ago, 1975. And they talk about getting into this state of mind and being where time
Mm.
just disappears and you get work done at a high level. So you don't have to dance or paint or be a musician. Like, sometimes when I'm writing, and writers too, writers can get into flow state if you love what you're writing about and
Yeah.
you see results on the other side. Like, if you're making some money on your writing and you love writing, that's gonna get you into a flow state really quick instead of laying in bed Monday morning going, "Oh my god, I hate my life." You pick We wanna get to where you kick the covers off and jump out of bed and be like, "I get to go do this today. How lucky am I?" And when you live that way, the money is extra. The money just
Yeah.
follows that. So if you
Yeah.
can create your
100%.
life that way, you're gonna have a happy life.
Yeah. I love that. I actually didn't know that that's also your approach because I actually started writing last year because I have a background in design thinking and I got really, really passionate about this concept called design your life. And it's basically exactly everything that you just mentioned, how you, because it's so funny if you think about it, that we design everything around us, right? We design our clothes, our hair, whatever, but the only thing we don't design is our own life. And we just take it as it happens. And yeah,
Yeah, and most people do. It's based on your culture. Again, look at us. Like, we're very fortunate. There's probably people on here that live in third world countries that are working from their phone. I mean, like,
yeah,
we have to be like, start where you are. There's like old cliches and quotes that we hear all the time. One of them was from Arthur Ashe. It's like, start where you are, use what you have, do what you can. You
mhm,
know,
yeah,
some people were born with a silver spoon in their mouth. I was not. I've had to work and grind and get through some hard times. But and some people are starting with nothing, without shoes. So
yeah,
you have to be something I think you've talked about, and I know like just like some popular people, they always say it's like all you don't need to be, the elite expert in any field. You just need to be ahead of one person, or you need to be one step ahead of some people. You know,
yeah,
you can guide through some sort of process. For me, it's LinkedIn, setting up online business, flow state, sobriety coaching. I do financial education. Like, there's so many different things that you can do, but build your audience.
yeah,
That's your most valuable asset on the planet is attention. Like, if you can have 100,000 people, and you don't need 100,000, but it's nice. But if you can have a few thousand people listening to what you say, that's power. Then you can sell stuff, but if you don't have an audience, start building your audience. Like, all this stuff takes time. There's no fast track to success. It takes time. You just started this a year ago. Like, the first I don't know your whole story, but the first 4 or 6 months, I'm sure you weren't making millions of dollars. You
yeah.
just
No, not at all.
yeah, you're trying to
Yeah,
figure it out. Let's try this, let's try that. And you still have to work and do your life, and then eventually something clicks if you continue to grow. If you just kind of plane out, or you start going, this isn't for me. If you just don't quit, you'll outlast 90% of the people. And then if
yeah,
you continue to grow and don't quit. So if you don't quit, you'll outlast 90% of the people. So
yeah,
90%, whoever's here, if you're whatever you're doing on Substack, in 6 months to a year, all the people you see, 90% of them won't be here anymore.
yeah,
And then only the 10% will be. And out of those 10%, only like 5 or 6% are really going to go deep and study and learn how to grow and
yeah,
build something out of all this.
yeah. 100%. I think that's a nice thing, as kind of like the last words. I couldn't agree more. Anything else you want to share with the people who are listening?
Uh, yeah, just keep going. I mean, and here's the other thing is like, I've been on hundreds of podcasts. I used to do motivational speaking. I don't know if you could tell I talk, but uh, you know, I always say to people when I'm on shows, they always say, "What's something you would tell your younger self?" Or what would you tell your 15-year-old self, or something like that. And I always say the same thing: ask for help.
Mm,
And I say this, never lose your sense of wonder. Like, we know as humans, we have trillions of synapses and stuff going on in our brains and our bodies, and we use like a fraction of 1% of the capability that we can do as human beings. And this world is like big place. Go out and experiment, learn new things, visit different countries, keep growing. Stop. If you're like sitting on the couch wondering why your life's not going the way you want it to, it's because you're sitting on the couch.
mhm.
It's
Yeah,
keep asking. If you want to go there, like if you're here and you want to go there, find somebody who's there and ask them how they got there, and keep learning and growing and figuring out how to get there, and don't quit before the miracle happens. So that's my
Yeah.
thing. I always say this: ask for help. And especially in my world with addiction, recovery, alcoholism, it's like I say, ask for help. If you don't know who to ask me. I'll help you. Reach
Yeah.
out to me. Send me a message. I'll help you. I help you. You're helping me. Like,
Yeah.
we're all here to help each other. And I think some
Yeah.
people get afraid to ask for help, and then you could stay stuck for a year or 5 years, 10 years. That's where depression comes from. And then you're doom scrolling and binge watching and eating when you're not hungry. And you're wondering why your life is going that way. It's because you're not doing what you need to do to get there. It's just a wish. I want to be here. I want to make $1 million. Write down what you did today, and you'll see why you're not making $1 million.
Yeah.
It's hard. I know it's harsh, but find somebody where you wanna go and ask them how they got there and keep going. That's what I say.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. And also thanks for Ashley. As you said, we are great and also never quit, keep showing up for yourself. And then Caroline says, so true, getting curious about life leads to growth. Um, totally agree. I always like to say, and my motto is trust the process because yeah, it's just so true. I think I can leave it at this. All right. Then thank you so much for joining, Dennis. That was super nice. Yeah, and enjoy the rest of the day.
Yes. And thank you so much for chatting with me, and everybody, ask for help. Ask me for help if you find value in what I said or did. I'm here to help.
Wonderful. All right. Thank you, everybody. Take care. Bye bye.
Adios.